So maybe you thought your parenting chores were done when your kids went off to college. Usually the case, but think again. The Boomerang kids, young adults who left to go to college, get married, or just gain their independence, well, many of them are moving back in with mom and dad. Census figures show that 56% of men, 43% of women aged 18 to 24 live with their parents. So what do you do when the kids move back home? Financial expert Dr. Judith Briles joins us live in studio this morning with some advice for parents and kids.
Yeah.
So what questions do you need to ask? What do you need to go through before you make this decision to let the kids move back in?
Well, it's really important to understand what their financial situation is. So that means you have to be the little detective and start asking questions, and you have to be very bold.
Well, what questions?
What their financial situation is. So that means you have to be the little detective and start asking questions, and you have to be very blunt with it. So you start with is, how much money do you make? And there's
what if they're not making any?
Well, that is one
problem.
Well, and then it's zero. That I encourage all our viewers to be reading Zits in the comics, because it's the best glimpse of what's going on with kids. And in Zits, one of the kids, Pierce, has got a job. And they're looking at the first paycheck and says, what's FICA? Who's FICA? So how much do you make, as well as how much do you take home? So they really understand what is your current situation, how much is coming in, and how much do you owe.
Okay, so it's a whole nother topic one day to say, if they're not making anything, do I let them move back in? But we'll move on.
Right.
And to other questions. What else should you ask them?
How much do they owe, and what does your credit report look like? Because most kids have already started using credit to some point by the time that they have hit the age of 20 to some variable. So let's just see what it looks like, and they can get their free annual report to check that out.
Okay.
So you want to look at that. Then you want to know is, you just ask, how much do you need to meet your monthly obligations? That could be a car payment, it could be in car insurance, it could be student loans, who knows what it is, but how much you need to meet the actually required minimum, and if they've been paying rent or whatever, you better throw that one in, because you need to see what this nut is that they're looking at. And then you want to ask, how do you plan on paying for any emergencies, or those non-required payments? But
something will always come up.
I have a 20-year-old who moved back in. All right, we're taken care of. He had hung on, this shirt kept getting hung on, and I said, what is this shirt? Well, it needs to go to the dry cleaners. And I said, so take it. He says, well, I thought you could pay for it.
No, Mom can't do it forever.
No, we're not doing that. So how do you pay for all those? What happens if you get a flat tire? What if you have it? Who's going to pay for that?
You have to plan for emergencies.
Exactly.
You also say to think about what those other living arrangements might be
before they show up. Right. What other options do you have? Can you live with your friend George for a while? In my case, the 20-year-old is a grandson. That was the other option. We thought we were the safest haven for him in coming in. And this is critical, how much space do you need? And we may think, oh yeah, we want to help him out and coming in, but a kid who leaves as a teenager and comes back, they still may be a teen or a very young 20,
they need a lot
are
more
totally
space,
different. They do need more space. They also have different noise levels. You know, if you're going to have critters, are they going to be two-legged or four-legged coming back?
All things to consider. You also say, how long do you think you might be in this situation?
It's
and
critical.
Discuss that ahead of time.
And how long is this going to be, and going in? And then you go into charges. Now, what we have done is created a huge list that our viewers can download from the CW2 website.
All of these questions.
And much, much more. From utilities, from food breakout. Don't just assume it's an easy moving in, because pretty soon those little things are going to become, these gnats will become elephants. So figure it out before they come in.
And much more of it,
much more
said on our website, which is cw2.com. Thank you, Judith, as always. Some great advice. You've lived this, haven't you? So many times. You have great advice for everyone.
Many times.
Well, no one says this could lead to a safe cigarette, but supporters of a bill expected to pass a key Senate committee this week say it should lead to safer smokes. That's topping your health news now.